Ico kibazo abajije ikibazo ciza cyane. Ubwa mbere icyo twamenyesha nuko iyi ni inama mpuzamakungu abahutu bakoze bonyene kugira bamenyekanishe ivyo babayiko.
It's a great question that the member of the United Nations press just asked.
My name is Nizar Aboud. I'm correspondent of Al Akhbar Daily in Beirut and Al Mayadeen Television also in Beirut.
Okay.
Ikibazo c'ihonyabwoko ryabaye ku bahutu cabaye haciye imyaka 23 izuba ryaka nta ntu hamwe vyigeze bivugwa ivyo bintu.
So as you know, the genocide against Hutu occurred 43 years ago, and nowhere the tragedy was reported or broadcast.
Twebwe rero ibikorwa turiko turakora ikintu ca mbere nukumenyesha makungu yuko ihonyabwoko ryabaye mu Burundi.
So this is for us a first step to tell the world that there's been a genocide which has not has always been hidden. So that's surprising. How come 43? There's been nothing 43 years before.
Dutevye kuko nkuko bayobariye haroje kuvuga ati umuhutu ashika imyaka 50 no munsi aba yarinze amategeko kuko abandi bagandaguwe kare.
Well, as somebody mentioned before, nobody was at the possibility to do it because everyone below 50 years old, around 15 years old, would have been killed.
Ico gihe twebwe turi ngaha abasigwa twarabana batoyi cyane hari wavuze ko ihonyabwoko ryabaye mu rugi wabo afise ukwezi kumwe urumva ari ico gihe twaciye tugenda turinyegeza turiyorobereka kuko handi bari kutumarana twebwe.
And at that time, as you heard, some of us were on the back of our mothers, or were very young, and if anybody dared show themselves, they would be part of the victims. We have no elder brothers. So already by the time I was 30 years old, I was considered one of the elders.
yavuze ikibazo cerekeye abantu bo muri Armenia.
And the question about the Armenian people.
Nabonye baragize ingorane cyane kuko igihe Turukiya korari ryabara bari bashigikiwe n'ibihugu by'ibihangange byo kwisi byatwara ico gihe. Ico gituma ikibazo cyawo kitashobora kuvugwa. Kandi ndazi yuko
So the Armenian genocide occurred when Turkey, which is alleged to have committed the genocide, was one of those or supported by the superpowers.
Abashoboye guhunga rero nabo nyene bamaze imyaka nk'yabahutu irengi y'abahutu bamaze kuko bo ikibazo cabo catangwe kuvuga ubwa mbere haci imyaka 65.
So the Armenian question is indeed very to the point, because in their case the issue only was mentioned 65 years later. So now it's 100 years later. So it's been 100 years that the genocide occurred. So it's been 100 years of trying to raise the genocide to the world.
Umumenyesha makuru yabibuze neza nukuvuga yuko twebwe imyaka turusha kurindira indi myaka iruta 80 ariko twebwe nuko ikibazo cacu cyo cagishekanye ahabona ibikwiri inyishu zacu kugira vyemerwe twebwe bizokurikire ariko twavuze yuko hari ibintu dushobora kwikorera twebwe nyine ubwacu.
So the report is right. We at the first stage, we are not sure whether indeed the question is going to be closed or we're going to have our wish sooner.
Turkiya rero ikibazo ca Armenia urabona Turkiya n'igihugu gifise kikundana cyane n'ibihugu bikomeye byo kwisi nico gituma bama bazibiye ivyerekeye kiya kibazo ugasanga mbere nko mu igihugu mbamwo baravuga ati kiya gihugu dushorarimo ibintu baratugurira ibintu byinshi hamwe tworamuka tugiye kubiteranya ko Abarmenia atakintu bafise hari navyo tugirira ingorane muhiri wacu abakozi abantu iwacu bagakena bakabura akazi.
So there appears to be interest, among others, economic interest. For example, the Belgium, in Belgium where I live, or European Union for that matter, when they come to decide the Armenian case, sometimes they debate about what's going to be with the market that Turkey represents for the Europe. So they contribute to not putting the Armenian issue forward.
Hari ikintu z'ikinyamakuru c'Ubufaransa Le Monde bose bazi muri ku kwezi kwa kane baranditse ikirangami ibihugu byo kwisi yose berekana ahantu habaye ihonyabwoko. And
in one of the French newspaper called Le Monde, they made like a map event of the map that occurred in the past.
Nukuvuga ko bavuze yuko berekanye ahantu habaye abantu bakorewe ihonyabwoko baravuga ko ibintu byo muri Armenia biko biratera imbere. Ihonyabwoko ry'abahutu ry'i Burundi baravuga ko ryabaye muga ko atakintu kimwe kirakorwa gushika uyo munsi.
And they mentioned that while the Armenian case was being uncovered and maybe something was being done for the case of the Hutu genocide in Burundi, nothing at all had been done.
Bavuze ko atakintu kirakorwa ku vyerekeye abahutu b'abarundi kuya vyemerwe nivyo turiko turakora uno munsi.
And that's what we're doing today.
Nico gituma je navuze ko ahantu turi uno munsi turiko turandika akahise k'igihugu cacu ivyabaye nibizokurikira kugira ngo bize biboneke ukundi.
So this event is therefore important because it's actually laying a foundation for historical development in terms of finding what happened in the history of Burundi.
I want to add something on. There was a sub-question regarding if we could make a request to France as a country to help to organize the Hutu genocide, and because there was, yes, the Hutu genocide was mentioned in the newspaper Le Monde. So in Europe, and what you could do is just to take this as one of your action to see if you can request France. That could be one of your action in Europe to see if they could help in any way.
I'd like to thank Al Akbar and Amedee and TV, Mr. Aboud, for attending today. And I'm sure that the people here would be very pleased to do a detailed interview with you in the next few hours, or up till tomorrow morning, I think. I am a regular reader of Al Akbar until they cut the English version about 2 months ago. But your presence is very important, and I think it's your questions are very apropos in the sense that we need a brainstorming and information and strategy based on those who are in these spheres on a regular basis, which go beyond, in many ways, my knowledge. Lobbying, the UN is in process of transition, and lobbying the other, China and Russia, might be a way, and we have to really do it with tremendous care and not rushing headlong into things. So thank you very much for your question, and it's part of the reflection which the collective will have to undertake.
Well, since you are an international judge, let me please ask you how confident you are about the international justice, because many nations have doubts about that, especially now seeing the eclectic nature of how they choose genocides. Darfur is a recent incident which happened only 10 years ago or 11 years and still going on, but they quickly jumped to consider that as genocide, whereas something that happened in Vietnam, which is not a very far history, or which is happening in the Middle East, what happened in Iraq and other places are totally ignored, and including, of course, the Hutu or Tutsi massacres. Srebrenica, of all the genocides, was considered, although the number is only 7,000, of course 7,000 is a large number, but compared to 3 million in Vietnam, 27 million in Russia, about 1 million Palestinians in the Middle East, and over 1.5 million Iraqis, the numbers here are quite contradictory.
Well, international justice. I guess I was consulted first by the collective to find a way of laying charges. And after extensive study, our recommendation to the collective is that the best way to obtain justice is through the internal procedures in Burundi with the Commission Vérité et Réconciliation. There may be ways within Africa, regional courts. I'm going to jump around. South America is considering forming a regional human rights court. I do not believe that the international courts, as well as constituted, are of any use whatsoever to you. We've written about this in this book a little bit, but we're far from being the source of all knowledge on this. It requires, and you have Charles Kambanda, you have some fine Hutu scholars from Rwanda and Burundi who can advise you as to the best way to obtain justice. So that's the answer to your question. Thank you.
Well, we are transferring our debate the other side. We are going to Harlem. You will continue with your questions and having answers. I think I may thank our speakers, starting by Mr. Frederic, Dr. Amedee, John Philpot. We thank you so much for your participation. I thank you all for having sacrificed your time and came here and being with us. May God bless you. Let us go to the other side.